Hello, everyone, and welcome to the English Listening Room, your space to learn advanced English through real workplace conversations and meaningful discussions. I'm Emma, and today's episode is one you really don't want to miss.
That's right. Today we're diving deep into something that every professional, no matter where you work, has faced at some point: conflict at work. It's uncomfortable, it's messy, and sometimes it's emotional. But it's also completely natural and even useful if you know how to handle it.
Exactly. In this episode, we'll explore why conflicts happen, how they can actually make teams stronger, and, most importantly, which soft skills you need to manage them like a true professional. We'll also share real-life examples from our own work experiences, teach you advanced English expressions and idioms, and help you develop emotional intelligence, communication, empathy, and leadership, all in one episode.
So, if you've ever disagreed with your boss, argued with a coworker, or felt frustrated in a team meeting, this episode is for you. We'll show you not only how to survive workplace conflict, but how to grow from it.
Before we begin, let's set the scene. Imagine this. You're sitting in a weekly team meeting. You've spent days preparing your idea for a new marketing campaign. You present it, confidently, but as soon as you finish, your colleague across the table shakes their head.
And says something like, "I don't think this makes sense at all." The air in the room changes. You feel your heart rate go up. Now this, right here, is the moment that decides everything. Do you defend yourself immediately? Do you stay silent? Or do you handle the situation with calm, empathy, and professionalism?
That's what today's episode is all about. We'll take that exact situation and break it down step by step using the power of soft skills, communication, emotional control, empathy, adaptability, teamwork, and leadership.
And of course, we'll highlight key English phrases and idioms you can use in your own workplace, so you can sound confident, fluent, and emotionally intelligent at the same time.
So grab your notebook, make yourself comfortable, and let's get started. Welcome to the English Listening Room. Today, we're learning how to master workplace conflicts with words, not war. Let's start by asking a simple question. Why do conflicts happen at work? Most people think conflict means something's wrong, that a team is broken or people don't get along. But that's not always true. In fact, conflict is often a sign that people care.
Exactly. When people care about their work, their ideas, and the outcomes, disagreement is natural. The problem isn't conflict itself, it's how we handle it. I always say, if a team never disagrees, it's not collaboration, it's compliance.
That's such a powerful line. Not collaboration, but compliance. Because when everyone agrees just to avoid tension, creativity dies. A healthy level of conflict can actually spark innovation.
Right. Let's imagine a real situation. You've got two employees in a product design team, Anna and Mark. Anna is very detail-oriented. She likes structure, data, and clear processes. Mark is more creative, spontaneous, big-picture thinker, doesn't like too many rules. They're both talented, but they often butt heads during meetings.
To butt heads, meaning to strongly disagree or argue repeatedly. You might hear people say, they're always butting heads over deadlines.
Exactly. Now Anna thinks Mark is too chaotic. Mark thinks Anna is too controlling. They're both frustrated. But here's the twist. Their disagreement isn't personal. It's about style. And that's what we call diversity of thought.
Yes, and that's a phrase I love, diversity of thought. It means having people with different ways of thinking, solving problems, or approaching decisions. It's what makes a team stronger, if they learn to respect those differences.
In this case, the manager steps in and says, "Anna, you'll handle the structure. Make sure timelines are realistic. Mark, you'll focus on the creative direction. You both need each other's strengths."
That's collaboration, not competition. When teams understand that different doesn't mean wrong, conflict becomes a tool for growth.
Exactly. The key soft skills here are open-mindedness, communication, and self-awareness. If you can recognize your own triggers, the things that make you defensive, you can stay calm instead of reacting emotionally.
That's where emotional control comes in, one of the most underrated workplace skills. It's easy to react when someone challenges you, but professionals with strong emotional intelligence don't take disagreement personally. They pause, listen, and respond thoughtfully.
Right, and that's a phrase worth repeating. Pause, listen, respond thoughtfully. Not react, but respond.
Let's break that down into a simple three-step approach for listeners. 1. Pause. Take a breath before you speak. 2. Listen. Try to understand the other person's perspective. 3. Respond thoughtfully. Use calm, professional language.
For example, instead of saying, "That's wrong, my idea is better," try, "I see where you're coming from, but have you considered this approach?"
Beautifully said. Notice how that sentence begins with empathy. I see where you're coming from. It shows respect.
That's what makes conflict productive. It's not about proving you're right. It's about finding a better solution together. That's teamwork.
Exactly. And this connects with another key concept, psychological safety, the feeling that you can express ideas or disagreements without fear of judgment or punishment. When teams have psychological safety, they innovate faster and communicate more honestly.
That's true. In my experience as a manager, when I encouraged open dialogue, my team trusted me more, even during tough times. When they felt safe to disagree, we made better decisions.
So let's summarize part 1 for our listeners. Key soft skills so far. Open-mindedness. Emotional control. Communication. Teamwork. Psychological safety. Key English vocabulary and idioms. To butt heads, to argue or disagree strongly. Diversity of thought, different perspectives and approaches. To see eye to eye, to agree. To be on the same page, to have a shared understanding. To find common ground, to agree on something despite differences.
And a reflection task for you, our listeners, think about a recent disagreement you had at work or school. Was it personal, or was it simply a difference in thinking style? How could you have paused, listened, and responded thoughtfully?
Great question. Because once you start seeing conflict not as an obstacle, but as a conversation waiting to happen, everything changes.
I love that. And that's exactly what we'll explore next, how emotional intelligence transforms conflict into connection.
Stay with us. You're listening to the English Listening Room. Coming up next, emotional intelligence in conflict, how to manage your emotions and respond with confidence. In this part, we're exploring something absolutely essential, emotional intelligence, or as most people call it, EQ. It's one of the most important soft skills you can have, especially when dealing with conflict.
That's right. And honestly, I've learned this the hard way. A few years ago, I was leading a project where deadlines were tight and pressure was high. One day during a meeting, a colleague openly criticized my plan, and I felt my blood pressure rise. My instinct was to snap back at him, to defend myself.
To snap back, meaning to reply angrily or defensively without thinking first. a reaction many of us can relate to, right?
Exactly. But I caught myself. I took a deep breath and said, I appreciate your perspective. Let's look at how we can make this work better. That moment completely changed the direction of the conversation. Instead of escalating, it turned into collaboration.
That's such a perfect example of self-regulation, which is a key part of emotional intelligence. You didn't suppress your feelings, you managed them. You chose to respond, not react.
Yeah, it's like there's a short pause between stimulus and response, that tiny space where you decide who you want to be in that moment. The best professionals use that space wisely.
Absolutely. Psychologists call this the amygdala hijack. It's when your emotional brain takes over your rational thinking, and you respond instinctively, often with anger or defensiveness. The trick is to recognize it before it controls you.
Exactly. And one way to stop that hijack is what I call the 3-second rule. When you feel triggered, count slowly to 3 in your head before saying anything. It gives your logical brain time to catch up.
That's a great tip. And while you're doing that, you can use calming language, phrases that sound professional even in tough situations. For example, let's take a step back for a moment. I understand your concern. Can we look at this from another perspective?
Right. These sentences show emotional maturity. You're not avoiding the issue, you're framing it constructively.
Let's pause for a quick vocabulary moment for our listeners. Vocabulary boost. To keep your cool, to stay calm under pressure. To lose your temper, to become angry suddenly. To bite your tongue, to stop yourself from saying something you might regret. To take a step back, to pause and look at the situation more objectively. To put yourself in someone's shoes, to imagine what the other person feels or thinks.
I especially like put yourself in someone's shoes. That phrase perfectly connects to another key soft skill, empathy. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with someone, it means understanding their perspective.
Yes, and that's a crucial difference. Empathy helps you de-escalate tension because people feel heard. When someone feels understood, they stop defending themselves and start listening.
That's true. I remember a situation with one of my team members, Sarah. She was frustrated because she felt her work wasn't appreciated. Instead of giving her advice right away, I just listened. I said, "It sounds like you've been working really hard and haven't felt recognized." She literally exhaled and said, "Thank you, that's exactly it."
That's the power of empathy. You didn't fix the problem, you validated her feelings. Validation builds trust faster than logic ever could.
Exactly. And here's the interesting part. Empathy is not just emotional, it's also strategic. When you understand how others feel, you can communicate more effectively, negotiate better, and even lead stronger teams.
Beautifully said. So, listeners, here's a quick exercise for you. Think of a time you disagreed with someone at work. Before you responded, did you try to understand how they felt, or were you focused on proving your point? This week, try using one empathy phrase in your next conversation, like, I can see why you'd feel that way. Or, that must have been frustrating for you.
Exactly. It's simple language, but it completely changes the emotional tone of a conversation.
So to wrap up this section, here's what we've learned so far. Key soft skills: self-awareness, recognizing your emotions as they happen. Self-regulation, managing emotions before they take over. Empathy, understanding and validating others' feelings. Emotional communication, choosing calm, professional words. Key idioms: Keep your cool. Lose your temper. Bite your tongue. Take a step back. Put yourself in someone's shoes.
And the takeaway? Emotional intelligence isn't about being soft. It's about being smart with emotions. It's what turns conflict into connection and tension into teamwork.
Perfectly put. Coming up next, we'll move into part 3, communication under pressure, where we'll break down how to speak with confidence and diplomacy when emotions are high.
So stay tuned, and remember, when emotions rise, wisdom whispers.
In this part, we're going to talk about something that can truly define your professional reputation: how you communicate under pressure.
Absolutely. Anyone can sound calm and confident when things go well, but your real communication skill shows up when someone challenges your idea, criticizes your work, or disagrees with you publicly.
Exactly. Strong communicators aren't the loudest, they're the calmest. And that calmness doesn't come naturally. It comes from awareness, empathy, and word choice.
Let me share a real story from a few years ago. I was managing a cross-department project, marketing and finance. During a meeting, the finance director said, in front of everyone, "Daniel, your plan is unrealistic. We can't afford this." You could feel the tension in the room. Everyone looked at me.
That's one of those moments when your ego just screams, right?
Exactly. My instinct was to defend myself immediately. But instead, I took a slow breath and said, "I completely understand your concern about the budget. Let's look at the numbers together. I believe this investment brings long-term value." And suddenly, the tone of the meeting changed. The tension disappeared.
That's a great example of assertive communication. You didn't avoid the issue, and you didn't attack him. You simply responded calmly and respectfully.
Right, and that's what assertiveness is all about, balance. Not silence, not aggression, but clear, respectful self-expression.
Let's make that clearer with a quick role play. I'll play a team leader, and you'll be a team member who disagrees with me during a meeting.
Perfect, let's go.
Daniel, I've decided we'll move the client presentation up to Monday instead of Wednesday. It's tight, but I think it's manageable.
I see why you'd want that, Emma. It keeps the momentum going. But I'm a bit concerned the data analysis won't be ready by Monday. Could we perhaps present the creative ideas first and share the full report on Wednesday?
That's a good suggestion. Let's do that. And that's how professionals disagree, with respect, empathy, and logic. You acknowledged the reason behind my decision, expressed concern gently, and offered an alternative.
Exactly. And notice, I didn't say that's impossible or you're wrong. Instead, I used language that opened the conversation rather than shutting it down.
Now, let's explore some expressions that can help you handle disagreement smoothly and diplomatically. We'll go through them step by step, and you can even repeat them out loud if you're listening with headphones.
Let's start with phrases that show you understand the other person before sharing your view. You can say, "I understand your point," or "I see where you're coming from." They show that you're listening and you value the other person's opinion, even if you don't agree.
Exactly. Next, if you want to express a concern without sounding negative, you can say, "I'm a bit concerned about the timeline." Or, "My only hesitation is the budget." These phrases soften your tone while keeping you assertive.
Now, here's one of my favorites, offering alternatives. Instead of saying no, try, What if we tried a different approach?
Or another option could be to extend the deadline.
This shifts the focus from the problem to a possible solution.
Perfect. And sometimes it's best to ask for clarification before reacting. You can say, "Could you elaborate on that?" Or, "Help me understand your perspective." These questions slow the conversation down and show curiosity instead of defensiveness.
Finally, when you want to find a shared solution, use common ground phrases.
Like, we both want the same outcome.
Or, let's find a middle ground.
That's a powerful way to turn conflict into collaboration.
Exactly. When people realize you're on the same team, not competing, it transforms the energy in the room.
So, listeners, here's the full process in simple steps. 1. Start with empathy. Show you understand. 2. Express concern gently. 3. Offer an alternative. 4. Ask clarifying questions. 5. Find common ground.
And remember, communication isn't about winning, it's about connecting. That's what makes you sound intelligent, confident, and trustworthy.
I love that. And tone plays a massive role in all this. You can say the same words in two completely different ways. One builds trust, the other destroys it.
Exactly. For example, listen to this. "I understand," said calmly, respectful, confident. But if you say, "I understand," sarcastically, it sounds defensive.
That's so true. Tone management, the control of how you say things, is one of the most underrated communication skills. In English, using a downward inflection at the end of a sentence makes you sound calm and sure of yourself.
Right. For example, "I believe this could work." It sounds steady and professional, not uncertain or defensive.
And don't forget about body language. Keeping your hands visible, maintaining an open posture, and nodding slightly while listening, all of these nonverbal signals communicate respect and confidence before you even speak.
That's such a key point. You can't fake emotional intelligence. Your body reveals it. There's a saying I love, "Your body speaks before your mouth does."
Exactly. And that's another great idiom for your vocabulary list. To clear the air. To talk openly to remove tension. To smooth things over. To make a problem less serious or repair a relationship. To get your point across. To communicate your message clearly. To cut to the chase. To get to the main point. To jump to conclusions. To make quick assumptions without full information. Assertive communication, expressing yourself confidently and respectfully. Tone management, controlling how your voice affects meaning.
Before we wrap up, let's look at a contrasting example, what not to do.
Oh yes, I once worked with a colleague who completely lost his cool during a meeting. Someone disagreed with his marketing plan and he exploded, saying, "You just don't understand how this works." The meeting went silent. After that, people stopped giving honest feedback because they didn't feel safe.
That's such an important lesson. When you lose your temper, you don't just lose the argument, you lose trust.
Exactly. Good communicators never humiliate, never shout, and never make it personal. They keep the focus on the issue, not the individual.
So, for our listeners, here's your reflection challenge. Think about the last time you were under pressure, maybe in a meeting, a disagreement, or an argument. Ask yourself, did you react emotionally or respond calmly? Did your tone help or harm the situation? What could you say differently next time?
That's a great exercise.
Remember, communication under pressure is like a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it gets.
And the stronger it gets, the more people will trust you, follow you, and respect your voice, even in conflict. Because great communicators don't avoid hard conversations, they master them.
Beautifully said, Emma. Up next, we'll move into Part 4, Empathy, Adaptability, and Teamwork, where we'll explore how human connection and understanding can turn tension into collaboration.
Stay with us, and remember, calm communication is your professional superpower. Welcome back to the English Listening Room. In this part, we're going to talk about 3 soft skills that can transform any workplace: empathy, adaptability, and teamwork. Because when people feel understood, supported, and valued, they don't just work, they shine.
That's so true. And it's interesting. Most people think teamwork is just about working together. But real teamwork is about understanding how others think, feel, and communicate. That's where empathy and adaptability come in.
Exactly. Empathy helps you connect with people. Adaptability helps you adjust to them. And together, they make collaboration smoother, even when personalities clash.
Let me tell you a story that really taught me this lesson. A few years ago, I led an international team with members from Japan, Germany, and Brazil. Brilliant people, but wow, our communication styles couldn't have been more different. In our first meetings, the Japanese team members were very polite and indirect. The Germans were extremely straightforward, and the Brazilians were warm and expressive. At first, misunderstandings happened all the time.
That sounds like a recipe for chaos. What happened?
It was at first. I realized that the problem wasn't the people, it was our expectations. We were interpreting each other through our own cultural filters. So I started to learn more about cross-cultural communication. I learned that silence in Japan doesn't mean disagreement, it means respect. And directness in Germany isn't rudeness, it's honesty.
That's such a powerful insight. It reminds me of the quote, "We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are." Empathy begins when we try to see things as they are for someone else.
Exactly. And once I understood that, our meetings changed. I began asking open questions like, how does this approach sound to you? Would this timeline work for your team? And I noticed people started opening up. They felt respected.
That's empathy in action. It's not just feeling sorry for someone, it's making them feel seen. And adaptability is the next step, adjusting your communication style to meet people halfway.
Yes, a good team player doesn't say, that's just how I am. They say, how can I communicate better with you? That's emotional flexibility.
I love that term, emotional flexibility. Because in a diverse workplace, one size never fits all. For example, some colleagues want detailed explanations, others prefer quick summaries. Some respond well to direct feedback, others need a softer approach. If you can read those cues, you become a communication chameleon in the best way possible.
Yes, and that's where empathy and adaptability meet. You read the room, you sense the energy, the tone, the emotion, and you adjust. It's like tuning an instrument. You adapt your sound so the whole team plays in harmony.
That's such a great metaphor, teamwork as music. When everyone listens to each other, the result is harmony. When they don't, it's just noise.
Exactly, and it's not always easy. Sometimes empathy means saying nothing, just listening. Other times, adaptability means stepping up when the situation changes suddenly, like taking over a task for a sick colleague or switching roles mid-project.
Yes, adaptability is the ability to stay calm and effective when plans change. That's one of the top skills employers look for today because change is constant.
Right. And to be adaptable, you have to let go of perfectionism.
You can't say, "That's not my job."
You have to say, okay, let's figure it out.
That attitude builds trust, and trust is the foundation of teamwork. Teams that trust each other can disagree, debate, and still stay connected.
Exactly. And you know what I've noticed? Empathy and trust go both ways. When you show empathy, people naturally start showing it back. It creates a kind of emotional echo in the team.
That's a beautiful image, an emotional echo. And for our listeners, here are a few phrases you can use to show empathy and build trust in English. I can imagine that must have been challenging. Thanks for sharing your perspective. I appreciate your honesty. Let's figure this out together. I've got your back. Idiom, meaning I'll support you.
Those phrases may sound simple, but they carry emotional intelligence. They say, I see you, I hear you, I respect you.
And that's what real teamwork is all about, not just dividing tasks, but sharing emotions, ideas, and responsibility.
Exactly. And teamwork also means celebrating others' successes, not just your own. There's no room for ego in collaboration.
Right. A good teammate isn't the one who always wins, it's the one who helps everyone move forward. And that requires empathy, adaptability, and humility. Let's take a quick look at some of the expressions we've used in this part. To read the room, to sense the mood or emotion in a group. To meet halfway, to compromise or find a shared solution. To have someone's back, to support and defend someone. Emotional flexibility, ability to adapt emotionally to new situations. Cross-cultural communication, communicating effectively with people from different cultures. Team harmony, smooth collaboration within a group.
So let's wrap this part up. Empathy connects hearts, adaptability connects minds, and teamwork connects results.
Beautifully said. And to all our listeners, here's your reflection challenge. 1. Think of one person at work or school you find difficult to connect with. 2. This week, try to understand their point of view before you judge it. 3. Adjust your communication style just slightly, slower, calmer, or clearer, and see what happens.
Yes, empathy and adaptability are like muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they get.
Exactly, and that's how you build trust, unity, and genuine teamwork.
Up next, we'll move to the final part of this episode. Negotiation, leadership, and building long-term trust, where we'll explore how to lead conversations, not just survive them.
Stay with us, and remember, in every conversation, empathy is your hidden superpower. In this final part of our episode, we're bringing everything together. Emotional intelligence, communication, empathy, and channeling it into leadership, negotiation, and long-term trust.
Yes, because whether you're leading a team, managing clients, or just trying to influence a colleague, one thing remains true: leadership is not about control, it's about connection.
Exactly. And negotiation, which many people find intimidating, isn't about winning or losing. It's about creating value for both sides. In professional English, we often call that a win-win approach.
Right, and I think that's one of the biggest mindset shifts we need. Negotiation isn't a battle, it's a conversation. The goal isn't to beat the other person, it's to understand what both sides really need.
So true. Let's start with a real story. Daniel, didn't you once handle a tricky negotiation with a client who wanted to cut your team's budget?
Oh, yes, that one. We were working on a long-term marketing partnership, and the client suddenly said, "We need to reduce your fee by 30%. Now, my first instinct was panic. That's a huge cut. But instead of reacting emotionally, I said, "I understand your position. Can you share what's driving this change?" And that simple question opened the door.
Perfect, because that's curiosity, not confrontation.
Exactly. It turned out the client wasn't unhappy with us. Their own budget had been frozen. So instead of saying no, I suggested, what if we reduce the scope for now, but keep the core strategy intact? That kept the relationship alive and built trust.
That's such a great example of negotiating with empathy. You didn't push back or give in, you collaborated. That's what real leadership sounds like.
Yes, and leadership, by the way, doesn't mean having a title. It means taking responsibility for the tone of the conversation. It's choosing to calm the storm instead of adding to it.
I love that. And good leaders use language that builds bridges. For example, they often say things like, "Let's find a solution that works for both of us. Here's what I can offer. What would work for you? I value your perspective. Let's see how we can align our goals."
Yes, these are bridge phrases. They connect rather than divide. They show confidence and respect, a perfect combination for advanced English speakers who want to sound natural in professional settings.
Daniel, I really like your proposal, but our timeline is too short. We need results in 2 weeks.
I completely understand, Emma. That's a tight schedule. Let's explore how we can make it realistic. Maybe we can prioritize the top 3 deliverables first, then roll out the rest next month?
That sounds reasonable. I appreciate the flexibility.
My pleasure. I'd rather deliver fewer things well than many things poorly.
That's perfect. You were calm, clear, and assertive, and you framed your proposal as a shared goal, not a defense.
Exactly. That's the secret to professional English in negotiation. Stay calm, sound collaborative, and focus on the outcome, not the ego.
Now, let's talk about trust. Because you can't have real leadership without it. Trust isn't built in one big moment. It's built in small, consistent actions.
Yes, it's built when you do what you say you'll do, when you admit your mistakes, and when you listen more than you talk. That's what creates credibility.
And linguistically, trust also comes from how you speak. Leaders use inclusive language, words like we, our, together, let's. They make people feel part of something bigger.
Right. For example, instead of saying, "You need to fix this," a good leader says, "Let's look at how we can solve this." That small change in pronoun changes everything. It turns criticism into collaboration.
That's so true. And let's not forget that tone, again, is crucial. You can be firm and kind at the same time. You can say no gracefully. For example, "I understand that's important, but unfortunately, that's beyond our current capacity. Let's find another way to achieve your goal." That's polite, confident, and constructive all at once.
Exactly. And that's what we call graceful assertiveness. It's the language of strong, emotionally intelligent leaders.
Before we wrap up, let's highlight some useful expressions from this part. Strike a deal. to reach an agreement after negotiation. Find common ground to identify shared interests. Give and take, a balance of compromise from both sides. Bridge the gap, to reduce differences or misunderstandings. Earn someone's trust, to build credibility through actions. Win-win situation, a result beneficial to everyone. Graceful assertiveness, being firm yet polite.
And my favorite idiom for leadership: lead with empathy, not ego. It's short, powerful, and true everywhere, from the boardroom to the classroom.
So, let's sum up today's journey. From understanding workplace conflicts to managing emotions, communicating under pressure, showing empathy, adapting to change, and now leading with trust and purpose. We've explored what makes a professional truly human in the workplace.
Exactly. Soft skills aren't extra skills. They're the essential skills. They're what separate good professionals from great ones.
Beautifully said. And to our listeners, here's your final reflection challenge. 1. Think about one upcoming conversation, maybe a negotiation or a feedback session. 2. Plan how you can use empathy, calm tone, and inclusive language to build trust. 3. Try to replace one defensive phrase with one bridge phrase from today's episode.
That's a great exercise. Remember, confidence isn't about speaking louder, it's about speaking wiser.
Exactly. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of the English Listening Room. If you've enjoyed learning with us, make sure to follow, share, and practice these expressions in your daily professional life.
And remember, mastering conflict doesn't mean avoiding it. It means turning tension into understanding and disagreement into growth.
Beautiful closing line. Thank you, Daniel, and thank you to all our listeners. We'll see you in the next episode, where we'll dive into another powerful soft skill for your professional English journey.
Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and keep communicating with purpose.